Der kaldes til spisning i Manjaleti-lejren i Höyer-Parken i Sydafrika. Gæsterne skal have et beskedent morgenmåltid, inden de køres ud på dagens første safari-tur. Årligt køres tusinder af turister og lokale feriegæster rundt i denne naturpark, der næsten er på størrelse med Jylland. Höyer-Parken ligger i den nordøstlige del af Sydafrika og støder op til Mozambique. Det kan godt være, at det giver kuldegysninger, når man bogstaveligt talt befinder sig ansigt til ansigt med store vilde dyr, og så endda på deres banehalvdel. Og især når man tydeligt kan høre deres åndedræt og nærmest mister luften af den kraftige lugt af vilddyr. Nærmest per automatik sidder man helt stille i et panisk forsøg på at virke usynlig, når en elefant på flere tons stiller sig i positur 1 meter foran Land Roveren. En safari-tur er en spændende oplevelse, især når man er i selskab med en kyndig og bevæbnet ranger, der kører Land Roveren rundt i det uvejsomme terræn. Ude foran på bilen sidder vores tracker, der med skarpe øjne, god lugtesans og hørelse holder øje med, hvor dyrene har været og hvilken vej de er gået. Trackeren er som regel en mand, der er vokset op i lokalområdet, og hvor hans far har lært ham kunsten at spore dyrene. Indbyggertallet i Sydafrika er omkring 44 millioner, og næsten alle, der i dag bor i Sydafrika, er efterkommere af indvandrere. Af den oprindelige befolkning, der var hottentotter og buskmænd, er der næsten ingen tilbage. De få, der er, har bosat sig nordpå i kanten af Kalahari-ørkenen. Det er ikke uden grund, at landet bliver kaldt en regnbuenation. 77% af befolkningen er sorte. 8,5% er farvede eller er blandet race. Inderne tegner sig for 2,5%, og kun 12% er hvide. Ikke desto mindre havde de hvide igennem mange år sat sig på magten i landet gennem apartheid. Grundideen i apartheid er adskillelse af racerne. De sorte skulle bosættes i deres hjemlande og måtte ikke blande sig med de hvide. Der var således bænke og busser for de hvide og separate for de sorte. Der var forbud mod ægteskaber og sex imellem racerne. Millioner blev tvangsforflyttet til townships, hvor der hverken var el eller rindende vand. I Cape Towns centrum blev hele bydelen District 6 jævnet med jorden, og beboerne flyttede til skurbyer i Langa og Guguletu. Selve District 6 ligger i dag ubebygget og øde hen, men der er indrettet et museum over området. Her kan gæsterne få et indtryk af, hvordan der oprindeligt har set ud. Et stort bykort på gulvet viser, hvordan gaderne har ligget. Billeder og effekter giver et spinkelt indtryk af, hvor stor en fejltagelse det var at tvangsforflytte beboerne. Apartheid sluttede i starten af 1990'erne, og der blev indført frie valg. Nelson Mandela, der havde siddet som politisk livstidsfange på Robben Island, en fængselsø uden for Cape Town, blev løsladt og umiddelbart efter valg til Sydafrikas præsident. På rejser rundt i landet har vi mødt forskellige mennesker, der alle har en historie, der er taget ud fra hverdagen i Sydafrika. Og vi lægger nu brikker til et puslespil om landet og dets indbyggere, som de selv har oplevet det. I Wellington, en af vinbyerne 30 km nord for Cape Town, møder vi Ronald West. Han bor med sin familie i en sidebygning på en vingård og har kastet sig over kunsten og lever af at male malerier.
Ik hou van die morgen, dat ik denk aan myself.
Yeah, this is him.
You see the resemblance in the tummy? And I'm also a very good chef.
Yeah. I do everything from my head. I was always good in drawing, and I think that is the most important thing when you paint, is to capture the painting first with a drawing. and you need to know the anatomy of the body. And I've done a lot of nude drawings and study drawings when I was in school and after school, and I think that helped a lot for me. And I think the basis of any art is drawing and anatomy drawing. So if you can capture the sensuality or the fun or the dance with a sketch, then your painting is halfway finished. Then you just need to apply the color. I go to a lot of exhibitions. I'm influenced by Jack Vetriani, which is the Italian painter. He does a lot of posters with people dancing. I was very inspired by him, and also Mondigliani, and the Cubistic movement have inspired me a lot. But I think that what works the best for me if I paint a lot, because as you grow, I've done about 1,000 paintings in the last 4 years. By the time you've done your 1,000th painting and the first one, if you put them together, it's like two completely different artists. So I think the more you paint, the more you develop, and the more you change. You just need to spend a lot of time with oil just to get used to it, because it's not as acrylic paint. It's totally different. But it smears a lot, and it works much better. And the nice thing is that you can leave it and you can work 2 days later. So I think the best way for me is if you paint a lot. If you just keep on painting, you develop with it your style and your colors, and that is how I think it's the best way for any artist, just to do it every day as much as you can. I think they call it humor art. It is very light. It is not very serious. I don't try and give a deep message through the art, than just to enjoy it, to look at it and just have fun. I think that is the main thing. I do some serious stuff, but I enjoy the humor or the lighter art much better. I think I call it fun impressionism, because it is impression. It's like a photograph taken of a scene, people drinking wine and coffee. And so I would like to look at it as impressionism, but I know there's some people that will kill me if I label it impressionism. So, yeah. That I'm really highly allergic to cats. I can't come close to them. If they scratch me, it swells up. But I love cats, so I was thinking that that's the way I can be with them every day. And I've put them in the paintings, and the people love the cat. And it's almost like when they buy a painting, they're looking, where's the cat? So it became of an icon. Everybody, if I don't do a painting with a cat, they say, where's the cat, where's the cat? So that has become a trademark now, and the cat is everywhere, on the bike with the chef drinking wine, is on the table. Yeah, so it's everywhere. Yeah, that's how it came. People love cats. I don't think it would have worked that well if I put a dog in. A cat has got a type of sensual feel to it. He do what he wants to, and he comes as he go. And like the ladies I paint, they're very sensual, and they do what they want. Yeah, so I think the ladies, the fat ladies and the cat, they complement each other very well.
I Rondebosch, en forstad til Cape Town, ligger Baxter Theatre sammen med universitetet. Her mødte vi Salero Maredi. Han er forfatter og skuespiller. På studiescenen opførte han stykket Beautiful Things, der på en humoristisk måde behandler den problematiske hverdag for de sorte familier i townshipen.
I like to entertain, but I never entertain with nothing that is not educational. I believe that people are hungry. They want to know things. And I find that writers are the best people to do that, to educate people with the stories they write. You know, whether it becomes politically or, educationally, whichever way, but it must be something that will make people know what is happening around them and the environment they live in. So I write a lot of educational things, but very entertaining. But I'm a very observant person. I don't walk with my eyes closed. I don't walk with my mind sleeping, I always, when I see something, it's unusual, I think about it. Things that people do, places people live in, I see those things and I ask too many questions, and I ask myself, I never ask anybody. God gave us this world to live in it and enjoy it, but the people themselves have caused the world to become a place of with a lot of ugly things happening, where you find sometimes women are afraid to walk alone in the evening or in the street alone. People are barricading their houses because they're afraid that people will break in and take things. Well, I was in exile. I left my country because it was dangerous for me to live in my country. I was, all these things I'm talking about, I was questioning the system. Why should other people live like this? I was questioning everything and I was condemning everything. So when I found out that my life was in danger, then I left the country. So I spent 14 years in exile. I came back when Mandela came out of prison. Now here I am. South Africa is a new country, very new country. It's growing. I truly believe that it will grow. We are having a lot of problems. There's more unemployment, more poor people are getting poorer. But I want to believe that something will be done, because if something cannot be done, then we'll have a very ugly country. But I truly believe that everybody has, is trying to look at the problem to be solved so that the gap can be bridged. You cannot live in a country like South Africa, which is so rich, and have very, very poor people. It doesn't make sense. Something is wrong, and that something must be corrected. It must be put straight.
Rejsende i Sydafrika benytter ofte bed and breakfast. Her får man til en rimelig pris en personlig og hyggelig betjening af husets ejere. For det meste er disse steder af meget høj kvalitet. I byen Sabi i Mpumalanga, der ligger som nabo til Kruger Nationalpark, møder vi Chris Colvert, der sammen med sin kone Morag netop har overtaget stedet Wayfarers.
Right now we've just started our own guest house. It was an existing business which we were lucky enough to find in August, and we purchased it and we arrived here in Sabi in the end of October 2005. And we had our first guests about 3 days later, unofficial ones. We weren't even open. 2 Germans walked up the driveway, very tired. They'd flown from Germany, driven from Johannesburg, and they were desperate for a room. They said the packing cases wouldn't worry them, and then we officially opened on the 7th of November, and we've had quite a steady stream of guests from all over the world ever since. And it's looking like a successful venture. It's a nice part of the world, quite a very pleasant guest house, and we think it'll be something that'll make us happy for some time. We initially looked at a guest house in Namibia, between Windhoek and Etosha, in a place called Otjiwarongo. Otjiwarongo is basically a transit camp for people going from A to B, and mainly from Windhoek to Etosha in the north. We decided it wasn't a nice town to live in. It was a bit dusty and dry and not much else to do. We looked on the internet, and my wife did a search. We chose this area because we like Kruger National Park very much. We've been there many times. We love wildlife and I love photography. We know it's a beautiful part of the world. It's very like Canada, I think, and particularly Scotland, with the forests and the hills and the mountains and the lakes. We found a lot of properties on the market. Sabi, Nelspruit, White River, Kamati Port, Malalan. So we made an appointment with an estate agent. We drove from Windhoek, 1,800 kilometers through Botswana, through South Africa. We arrived, and then the following morning we looked at 7 properties before lunch, first day. One of them was Wayfarer's Guest House. We went and had lunch. We sat and talked about what we'd seen. I said, I think I've got very good vibes about Wayfarers. Let's go and have a second look. We decided to make an offer. I've lived in South Africa during apartheid, and it wasn't that wonderful. One felt restricted, one felt embarrassed, one knew what was happening. It was difficult to do much about it as a non-South African citizen, one couldn't vote. But if you liked the country, one had to put up with it and hoped it would go away. And it was very nice in the early 90s when Nelson Mandela was freed and the ANC was made legal. A lot of people left the country, a lot of people went to Australia, they ran away, they were scared, they thought it would be a bloodshed. I personally always said, why should it be? The country's big, it's got a massive infrastructure, a lot of people live here, there's too much to lose. All we need is a good middle class, African developed, so they've got a good income, they've got something to live for, and it's happened quite quickly. In 13 years we're now definitely seeing a very upper class African emerging with a good job, good earnings, nice cars, good manners, educated, and I think we've come through what could have been a big trauma quite well, really do. And I'm seeing it more and more every day now. People are confident, they're beginning to travel. And I think the country should go from strength to strength, really. We also got the cars nice in these hills.
Sydafrika har en kedelig rekord i antallet af HIV- og AIDS-ramte. Townshipen Guguletu er en del af slumområdet Cape Flats, der ligger på bagsiden af Tafelbjerget lige uden for Cape Town. Arbejdsløshed og fattigdom præger området. Det er ikke et turistmål for hvide. Her kommer man kun, hvis man har et vigtigt ærinde. Og det har Dr. Catherine Orrell. Hun arbejder på hospitalet med et projekt, der skal uddanne en gruppe behandlingsvejledere.
Well, we're here because this is a new project. It's a joint venture between a funding organisation in England that's supplying us with antiretroviral therapy for 150 patients, the province that's supplying us with the space, and the other doctor that you met next door is employed by the province, and ourselves, which is the sort of research unit, the academic input. And what we're doing is trying to set up an antiretroviral treatment program in a primary healthcare setting in Africa. So we want to show, and in fact we're also positive that we're going to show that we can actually manage antiretroviral therapy adequately with far beyond ordinary standard virological suppression and adherence to therapy from a primary healthcare setting. The big sort of feather in our cap are the treatment counsellors who are themselves all HIV positive and who are all on therapy and who have been trained as counsellors and support personnel to support our 150 patients on treatment. At the moment we have 6 counsellors employed. By the end we'll have about 10, and they will each have 15 patients for whom they are personally responsible. We're also seeing a number of patients who were screened 2 weeks ago who are coming now for their bloods, for their CD4 counts, their viral loads, and they will sign today an agreement, which is an agreement between us and them, between the counsellor and them, or myself and them, whoever signs the piece of paper, just to basically say we will supply them with antiretroviral therapy, we will supply them with information about therapy, we will supply them with support in terms of adherence. We will provide the clinical care. I will examine you. We will take bloods to make sure that things are safe, so that we will give you treatment, and we will also make sure that it's safe. Okay. We will talk to you about the medications and educate you, and I'm sure you have missed a bit of that without Nomoroma, but you need to learn a little bit about the medications, okay? And we will support you in staying on treatment. And all those things are what we agree to give to you. But in return, we're going to be taking things from you back, okay? So we want you to take your medications as we prescribe. It's very, very important that you take these medicines every day, okay? Because these medicines don't take the virus out of your body. They're not a cure, as you know. They just push the virus down, and it's like putting a lid on the pot. We have a short meeting every morning. We have a longer meeting on it. We're presently running part-time, 3 afternoons a week, and that's because this clinic gets quiet in the afternoon, so we can have these rooms. In the morning it's busy. So we all sort of congregate at about 1:30. Our patients are booked for 2 o'clock. And we just discuss issues, problems, things that have arisen, ask them if they've had any problems with their home visits and visiting their patients. Has anyone contacted them? We've got some patients on drug. Have they had any problems? And before we move on to the day's new and repeated patients. We call them adherence monitors, and they've been trained to help people stay on therapy, because with antiretroviral therapy, ideally you need to achieve an adherence of 95% to medication. So that's missing less than 1 dose a month, 1 dose in every 6 weeks or so. We need more medication, we need more money for staff and that kind of thing. We need to be opening clinics in all the districts, not just this one. But I mean, I think if we can show that it can be done, we're doing a very important thing, not just for these 150 patients, but also more broadly. It's a challenge. It's a big challenge. Turning people away is heartrending. It's horrible. But and we see patients who are too ill to start therapy, who are basically brought in a wheelchair, who are pre-terminal, and who this therapy is not going to do anything for. And they come to you and you are their very last hope, and you say sorry, and that's horrible. And because of the state of the epidemic at the moment, we've had quite a few of those pre-terminal people. In fact, 2 of our patients have died in the last few weeks. People that we thought were okay and we screened, not even the people we've said no to, people that we actually screened have died, because we're starting off and we're trying to we really are dropping a drop into an ocean of illness, and the doctors that refer us patients send us their desperately ill patients that they're stuck with, and we have to turn them away, and that's quite harsh. So it is a challenge, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah.
Vi er på vej ud af Johannesborg af landevej N1 mod Walkerville. Vi skal besøge Maxi igen. Det er 4 år siden, vi besøgte hende første gang. Dengang fortalte hun, at det ikke er alle naboerne, der synes om, at hun har åbnet sit hjem for HIV-ramte og forladte børn.
We started our little orphanage 5 years ago because we became aware of the abandoned children in hospital were dying with the lack of love. Nobody wanted to love them, nobody wanted to hold them. And my husband and I made a constructive decision to only reach out to the HIV/AIDS children that were being abandoned and neglected. And we started off with 1 baby 5 years ago. He was 3 days old. His name is Abraham. And in 2 months we had 4 children. And in the last 5 years we've had 16 children. And 2 babies have died in the last 18 months. We have another baby that they've told us has got 6 months to live. He's very, very ill.
I will dance, I will sing to be mad. Nothing more is hindering the passion in my soul. I will dance, I will sing to be mad. Nothing more is hindering the passion in my soul.
De ældste børn er i skole. Altså den skole, familien selv har indrettet i en del af huset. Læreren arbejder frivilligt. Der er ikke penge til løn. Familien får 11 rand per dag per barn fra staten. Det svarer til 8 kroner og 25 øre. Den lokale kirke hjælper også med lidt, og de lokale handlende bidrager med fødevarer fra sidste salgsdato.
Emotionally, it's very, very distressing. But our priest at the church that I belong to is very good. She helps me spiritually. She helps me cope with the stress of the children and the death of the children. It's been very hard for me, the two deaths of our children. And it's just a day by day. Every day you just take it today. Sometimes I find I wake up at night and I'm crying because I just can't let it go during the day. But it's not easy, but it's just every day. Today is what we do today. We don't worry about tomorrow.
Wait, look there, inside. En Mankulu.
Meget er sket, siden vi besøgte Maxi for 4 år siden. Det er gået godt for børnene, men selv er hun blevet skilt fra sin daværende mand og gift igen.
Well, a lot of things have happened, and all of them really good things. Some bad things have happened, but good things have come from it. The last time you were here, we had a little boy that I just brought back from the hospital called Luke. The hospital told me that they could do no more for him. He was dying. I had to bring him home and just nurse him at home. And about a month after I'd brought him home, I got a call to say that the Baragwanath Hospital was rolling out a program for children in institutions to try and get them onto a retroviral program. And we got him on, and he started walking this year. And he's alive and he's well, and we've been blessed by him.
Can you talk? What did you say? I can't. Dad. Yes. When you talk, it picks up the sound.
We unfortunately had an armed robbery where 4 young men came with guns and knives and had the children, held them at gunpoint and robbed us. And since then, we've put an electric fence around the property so the children are safe. We have built on another bedroom. We are going to build another bathroom this year for them because the children are all growing up and they need more space.
Yes, this is a place where they really do need a handyman. We have a lot of thunderstorms, so we have some light flooding down in the lower valley occasionally. The telecommunication systems has a lot of problems, and the power system. And so there's a lot of things you have to do to make sure that you keep everything going correctly and up to speed, you might say.
The children's future is a very big concern for me because some of the children are really very, very bright. And I don't know if in the future we're going to be able to encourage them to attend universities or colleges. But that's still in the future, so we are trying to find a program that we can actually sponsor a child for university or for a college education so that they are able to provide for themselves in future. This will always be their home. They will never have to feel they have to leave because they've got to an age where now in a government organization they would have to leave when they're 17. Yeah, they won't have to do that because this will always be their home. And yes, we will encourage them to learn crafts. Yes, we will encourage them to learn skills, life skills that can stand them in good stead when they are young adults.
Yeah, I come from the United States, Oregon actually, Portland, Oregon. And I came here to help out at ABC Kids. And I was able to stay here because I loved it so much, because fortunately I fell in love with the director, Maxi. So I'm here for life. And it's just a great place to work and help the children and enjoy South Africa a lot. It's really a great country.
I have my own 2 children and I'm now a granny because my eldest son had a little baby boy. But the children are my children. I've had them since they were born. The average age of the children that I've had is about 4 weeks. So they've known no other mother except me. And this is family. We've always treated it as a family. It's not an institution. It's not an orphanage. And we've always wanted it to be family, that they treat each other like brothers and sisters. And I'm mum and dad's dad, and we care for each other. And yes, I'm mum. We have a house mother that now helps me to take care of the children. If I'm not at home and I have to be away, then she's available to the children and she's their auntie. So we're very well organized and we're very happy in each other. And another good thing that's happened is the children have started, I was teaching them at home, but the children have now started school. I take them to a government school, they attend school with other children, and they absolutely love it, and they have been so fantastic. They've really worked hard and they are doing very, very well at school. And the children are healthy and we're blessed. We're very, very blessed and we're very happy as a family.
What is this?
The HIV/AIDS situation for children is still terribly, terribly worrying. We still don't have enough retroviral programs rolled out to assist the children and even the adults with HIV/AIDS. It really is a big concern. We actually noticed our local cemetery is full and they've had to start a new wing. And within a week, there were maybe 150, 200 rows of graves that have already been utilized. So it's a very big concern. It's a dreadful concern. And our government is still dragging its feet in providing the treatment that they need. They are still got their ostrich syndrome, where their head's in the sand, where the people are not getting what they need. And it really is a big concern for all concerned that are taking care of children and that are prepared to put themselves in the front line to try and help the kids. We ourselves as ABC, we buy the retroviral treatment for the children. It's not given to us by the government. We pay for it ourselves. So it is a big concern.
We got you. You're going to jail now. Come.
I 2002 besøgte vi det danske ægtepar Astrid og Walter Christensen. De bor en halv times kørsel nord for Johannesborg. De kom begge til Sydafrika i 1964 og driver en trykkerivirksomhed. Medarbejderne har vidt forskellige faglige og etniske baggrund. Astrid og Walter lever dagligdagen i et velfungerende kvarter med gode indkøbsmuligheder. Og så har de deres egen helt specielle læge, der i øvrigt kan lidt af hvert.
18 år tror jeg, vi har haft Josef her. Han var med til at bygge vores hus. Og han kom op fra Venda, det er oppe i Krøgerparken. Han er en Venda. Der er mange forskellige stammer inde på de sorte jo. Så han er en Venda, og han er doktor. Han er præst. Plus han er min havemand. Og han kommer ind og hjælper mig hver fredag og vasker min gulve og sådan noget. Og du ved, ellers så passer han haven. Og så bor han her, vi bygger et hus til ham. Og så han får hans mad, og han har det godt her. Det mener vi, han har. Og han siger, at han vil aldrig nogensinde rejse fra. Så det er jo godt nok. Ja, og så han har kirkemøde hver søndag. Der er omkring 30 år i hans hus til hans gudtjeneste. Og hver dag efter klokken 5 og mellem 1 og 2, der er han doktor. Der kommer de at sidde i lange rækker herovre på bænkene og venter på, at han skal helbrede dem og hvad han ellers gør ved dem. Han er ikke heksedoktor. Han er ikke en, der tørrer det bones og sådan en af de her vitstokker. Det er han ikke. Og når de kommer til ham med dårlig mave, og han giver dem nogle gange coke og vin og vinegar, eddike sammen, og det drikker de. Og så bliver de dårlige, og så snakker han til dem, og så er der de onde ånder ud af kroppen på dem, og deres maveånd er væk.
Fattigdom, overtro og en anderledes kultur gør, at mange sorte søger hjælp hos behandlere som Joseph, i stedet for hos det autoriserede sundhedssystem.
Any problem for sick, and then I take it out. Maybe sometimes the flu, ulcer, asthma, I take out. Because at the time I'm taking out for the asthma or ulcer, I boil the water, and then after boiling the water, I take the soil and then to mix it with the crops out, and then to give that man or woman, and then to drink, and then to keep again. Sometimes I'm taking the hamburger tea and chocolate tea to mix it, and then to drink, and then to work inside the stomach, and then everything will be alright. Maybe sometimes he's sick over. He lay down, and then I take the Coke, and then vinegar, clear vinegar, I mixed, and then to drink afternoon and in the morning.
Patienterne besøger Joseph igen og igen, så han har lavet sit eget journalsystem på almindeligt hvidt A4-papir. Selve undersøgelsen foregik gennem samtale i de andre patienters påhør. Luften er varm og fugtig i det lille og tætpakkede lokale. Om stearinlysene er der for hyggens skyld, eller på grund af overtro, ja, det turde vi ikke spørge om. For at opnå behandling skal man medbringe en flaske cola. Og så går Joseph i gang med at blande eddike, havvand, cola og andre ikke definerede kemikalier. Og kuren har i hvert fald en effektiv virkning, nemlig at patienterne får renset maven ud. En ting er helt sikkert. Disse besøg hos en alternativ behandler har ingen som helst dokumenteret virkning over for AIDS.
Jeg synes, der er mange gode muligheder hernede. Det så allerede dengang, da vi kom til Sydafrika i 1964. Og stadig den dag i dag er der lige så store muligheder, hvis man gider at gøre noget ved det. Der er masser af arbejde i alle industrier, og lige så meget som i den grafiske verden. Den grafiske verden har groet usandsynligt meget hernede med alt det moderne udstyr, altså som er kommet frem på markedet. Og vi følger lidt med i det også. Vi er stadig lidt af den gamle skole. Det er trykkeri, det er udstandelse med packaging, det er creating of different printing jobs, whatever. We do a fair amount of creating our own creating our stuff for the client itself. So you communicate, what do the client want? What kind of market is he in? Der er en vild trykker. Han er udlært trykker, og det har arbejdet flere år for os. Resten, ja, vi har også inderen Roy. Han er også udlært, faglært trykker, og også med film og kamera, mørkkammerområde. Vi har alle de sorte, der arbejder for os. De er alle sammen blevet trænet op igennem firmaet.
Jeg cater, jeg laver meget mad for forskellige, der gerne vil have dansk mad, wienerbrød, leverpostej, rullepølser osv. Jeg laver alt herhjemme, alle råvarer og alt muligt, alt bliver lavet hjemme. Leverpostej, rullepølser og alt bliver lavet hjemme. Og så tager jeg det helt ud i firmaet, hvor nu skal være henne, i deres kantine og i deres køkken, og så står jeg så sammen med nogle veninder, og så står vi og laver det derude. Jeg lavede jo mad her til 200 her forleden dag med 800 snitter og wienerbrød og ost og så videre, hvad de fik. Og forrige gang var det også for 200 mennesker, så... Men når det er koldt, når det er smørbrød, ja, så kan jeg godt lave for mange. Men hvis det skulle være varm mad, så har jeg ikke gryder og potter nok til og kokkerere. Men til 40-50 mennesker kan jeg godt lave med varm mad herhjemme. Jeg laver også til generalforsamling, vi havde i Danish Society. De fik skipperlapskors, for det skal jo helst være dansk. Så er det jo gerne mig, der må stå for skud.
Vi taler meget engelsk-dansk. Der er mange gange, og man kan ikke selv høre det, at vi slår over i engelsk med nogle ord, ligesom man skal sige det hurtigere. Eller forståelsen komme across. Der var den igen, ikke? Men hvis det er, at man er sammen med danskere, og jeg ved, at de ikke kan snakke engelsk, så snakker jeg dansk hele tiden.
Vi har sådan en dansk pigeklub her i Sydafrika. Alle aldre og hvem der ønsker at komme med. Og der har vi en gang om måneden, så skiftes vi til at have de forskellige hjem. Og der slutter vi os om alt muligt forskelligt. Og i dag var det så subjekt, det var, ikke julebasaren, men julefrokost. Hvor vi så skal blive enige om, den 1. december, hvad vi så skal finde ud af at lave, og hvor mange der skal hjælpe og så videre. Og så laver vi også meget charity. Vi bruger tøj og hvad vi ikke kan bruge selv. Det giver vi så til charity. Og så laver vi et salg. Jumpelsal. Det laver vi også tit. Samler sammen sådan 6 måneder. Hvis vi er sådan 10-15 damer, der, du ved, så vil du ikke bruge det og ikke bruge det, og så går det, det fejler ikke noget. Så sælger det på en billig pris til jumpelsal, og så går pengene til abused women, til børnehaver, sorte børnehaver. Vi har en børnehave ude i, jeg tror det er Soweto, vi giver penge til os. Og
vi skal arrangere det her, fordi vi har egentlig kun et møde tilbage. Hvem skal lave hvad? Hvem vil være med? Hvem vil ikke være med? Skal vi overhovedet have det? Gider vi? Gider vi ikke? Fordi jeg gider ikke. Altså Kate er interesseret, Astrid er interesseret, jeg er interesseret.
Hvad er det, vi skal have?
Jamen, så er vi blev vi enige om ved sidste møde, hvor der ikke kom noget referat ud, at vi vil lave det lidt anderledes. Højt belagt smørbrød, men forudbestilt, altså en slags platte, ikke også?
Og det er Sally, der siger, at vi skal have flæskesteg, og det synes jeg måske også, vi skal. Og roast. Ja. Jamen, der kommer ingen sild. Hvor skal du få sild fra? Der er ingen sild i år. No. Jamen, det er jo det, jeg siger. Så får vi laks og roast beef, og Jens siger dyrenes natmad, måske for en chance. Jeg har været til ikke mange fiskeforretninger, der er ingen sild. Ved du, hvad du kan få min af? Du får min Cape Town. Jeg talte med Benedikte i går. Hun ringede i går aftes. Hun siger, at Bjarne, han har lige købt saltsild i Cape Town for sådan store de her tykker der. Så jeg kan du ikke sende nogen herop?
Jeg har aldrig blandet mig i apartheid. Jeg tror, at fra den første dag, jeg kom herned, og til den dag i dag, der er forskel i mennesker. Men apartheid, det er et ord, der er blevet voldtaget, vil jeg sige på den måde. Det er et grimt ord. Det er adskillelse. Det er det andet ord for det. Forskellige indstillinger. Hvordan kan man forklare det? Jeg ved det ikke. Jeg har levet i det her land her 38 år. Jeg har gået igennem, hvad der kaldes apartheid eller sådan noget. Jeg har altid blandet mig i alt det der sådan politiske. Ja.
Der er jo ingen pensioner for hernede jo. Så vi bliver bare ved med at køre derud, så længe vi kan, ikke også? Der er ikke noget hjælp for os at få hernede overhovedet. Det vi så tjener hen ad vejen, det må vi så prøve at lægge lidt til tid til vores alderdom. På den måde. Det er jo også måske der, hvor vi sidder på sådan et stykke jord som det her, og det kan også virke lidt til en slags pension, når man bliver ældre, ikke også? Og sælge noget af det.
Ja, vi købte vores jord der, og den er 7 acres dengang. Det var 28.000 kvadratmeter, hvor vi bor, og vi har bygget hus. Og vi startede med at bygge halvdelen af huset, og så har vi bygget til senere, og har lige bygget igen til. Og nu tror jeg nok, vi har nok plads omkring os. Og så har vi gået så småt i gang med at udstykke, og der bliver 6 grunde, og vi vil gerne vil udstykke på omkring 2.000 kvadratmeter hver. Men det er sådan til ting, vi går og sådan tænker på. Så har vi sygeforsikringer, en forsikringshistorie. Man kan betale til en selvfølgelig en hver måned, ikke? Pensionsanordninger og det ene og det andet, som man kan etablere livsforsikring og det ene. Ikke? Det virker godt hernede, det gør det.
Vi håber stadigvæk, at det kan blive ved med at fortsætte, som det er. Hvad vi måske tænker en del på, at det ikke skal blive det samme som oppe i Mugabe, oppe i det gamle Rhodesia deroppe af. Men man ved det jo ikke. Det er det, vi spekulerer vi en del på. Men altså, det er igen, hvor skal vi tage hen? Tage hjem til Danmark? For hvad? Hvor skal du bo? Hvad skal du lave? Det kan du ikke leve af, vel? Så hellere blive ved hernede, så længe du kan, og så prøve at få noget ud af det på dine gamle dage hernede.
Jeg har været over det meste af Sydafrika. Mozambique, Botswana, Namibia, Zimbabwe. Fantastiske ferier over på Kariba Dam i husbåd, hvor man sejler rundt, og man sejler ind, og det er ligesom man sejler ind i en zoologisk have. Der går tusindvis af bøfler over på markerne, og det, man ser henover, det ligner ligesom køer og alt det historie. De går fredeligt og stille og roligt og græsser. Elefanter, der svømmer i vandet. Flodheste. Krokodiller. Det er fantastisk. Så fisker vi deroppe, og vi fangede tigerfish.
Vi har flere gange besøgt Joan og Keith Kemp, samt deres 3 børn, Jennifer, Tracy og Tim. For nogle år siden boede de på en mindre landejendom, en halv times kørsel syd for Johannesburg. Joan og Keith er begge pensionister, og det kniber med helbredet. Joan har en meget dårlig ryg, og Keith har problemer med synet. Det betyder, at det er slut med de store husdyr. Dem kan de ikke klare mere.
Up over there, they've got the long sheds are part of a crocodile farm. Most of them are about just over a meter long. They hand them on for, I think, basically skins and also for restaurants, crocodile meat. But they do have some big breeding crocodiles there, but I think basically they bring out hatchlings and eggs because they have that thermostatically controlled, all those sheds up there.
Yes, I'm born and bred in South Africa of overseas parents. My mother's family came from Scotland. My father's family came from Ireland. Yes, no, I'm truly South African, but I still have an inkling for the old. I think it's in the blood somehow or other. I get a hankering for Scotland or for Ireland, and yeah, but otherwise purely South African. And
my father was in the Indian Army, and we travelled all over India. And when India got its independence in 1948, all the British officers were put on retirement. And it was a case of whether we went to England or emigrated somewhere else. This was paid for, by the army. And because my father had chronic malaria, he decided to come to a warmer country. So we came to South Africa.
Well, I started off as a draftsman in a mining house, and found it very dull. So I moved on to into an engineering company, and got involved in structural engineering, and then went up to in those days northern Rhodesia, onto the copper mines to build houses for the mines. And then with the copper slump, I was in the late 1950s, everything just, all the jobs came to an end basically, and returned to South Africa and took up a job in a window company as a draftsman, structural draftsman.
We moved to a plot, as we call them here, of 5 acres, or 2.2 hectares, I think. And we've lived there for the last 32 years. And it was a lovely life because the children had, they had so much freedom. They each had their own pony and their own pet. And they had a I feel, very healthy upbringing. They went to a little, almost farm-type school, which was very good and gave them a good grounding. But unfortunately, they had to go to boarding school for high school because there wasn't an adequately, how can I put it? I won't say that schools were inadequate, but at that particular stage, there wasn't one with the facilities that we wanted for the children, to go as a day scholar. So they went to boarding school in a town called Potchefstroom.
Yeah, well, I went through three retrenchments, and then put on early retirement at the age of 58. I was only planning to go on retirement at the age of 63 because that's when everything was supposed to come together, but it didn't. So put on early retirement, and then there was a bit of a battle for years. And but now gradually things are came right, and comfortably off at the moment.
I retired from the bank because I had a bit of a spinal problem, and I couldn't cope with a lot of the work which I was actually a secretary eventually in a bank, and because of my health problems, they were very, very good to me, and they boarded me, as we call it in this country. I was boarded on medical grounds and put on early retirement.
I got a lot of enjoyment out of the horse riding world, equestrian world, show jumping, and did quite a lot of administrative work for the show jumping people. Oh, we always had animals, always. As a child, I can remember trying to bring home a donkey that I'd found on the road, and my mother wouldn't have it. But always had dogs anyway. Oh no, we've always. Joan's a great animal lover as well. She's always had her dogs, and then of course we had our horses. She had her cows at one stage. Ducks, geese, and chickens, but by and large, probably our favourite is a dog. As a youngster, I wanted to become a game ranger, and my father put his foot down and he said, "No, you are not. You've got to get something behind you. Because there's no good going around playing cowboys and crooks in the bush, and then you haven't got a job to fall back on later on in life." He says you've got to get on and make a career, which is what happened. So I never became a game ranger, but I would have loved to have done that in the free and easy in nature, and how good I would have been, I have no idea, but there we are.
Jennifer er gift med Allan, og begge arbejder de i en bank. De har begge været gift tidligere og har derfor medbragte børn i ægteskabet.
Okay, well, I grew up on a plot, spent most of my young life there, so I was able to go to a farm school, which was really quite nice. Although it's a farm school, it actually gave us a very good grounding, very good education. And then went to boarding school after that, spent 5 years at Potch Girls High, matriculated there. Chose to go to Potch because the distance away from other schools in the area was quite significant, so that you would have actually spent most of your time travelling on a school bus. I was definitely not your academic type of person. Didn't enjoy learning and going to school. So I chose to do a secretarial diploma. Didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And that then gave me a very, very good grounding. I was able to go to work. I joined the group that I'm still with 20 years later in 1983.
Tracy er uddannet sygeplejerske og gift med Tom, der er radiolog. Sammen har de børnene Liam og Kathleen. Begge har en travl hverdag, hvor de skal tilgodese børn, familie og en karriere i sundhedssystemet.
I think I underestimated how easy it was to have a family and be a career person. I think modern day people, certainly women in South Africa, have got too many choices. I've always said sometimes it's easier not to have any choices. You either have to work or you don't have to work. I'm in a position where I can work if I want to. I don't have to, but I really want to be a mother as well. So I think that's the hardest thing for me. But I'm very fortunate to be able to have the time that I do with my children. But my career does suffer. There's no question about it. And I also think it depends on what your partner does. For example, my husband, he works really hard, so he needs a supportive person at home. So I have to be the mom most of the time, and also try and be a career person and fulfill my career needs as well. We have a wonderful person called Sylvia. We call her Gogo. She is our lifesaver at home. She runs the home. We call her our housekeeper. Sylvia is the second mother to our children. Our children adore her. And she's an incredibly kind and wonderful person who gives a lot of herself to ensure that we can live the lives we do.
Tim er den yngste af Joan og Keiths børn. Han er gift med Lisa, og sammen har de 2 børn.
We used to fight, but I don't think I ever fought with my sisters as much as my sisters used to fight with each other. And yes, they do protect me. They did protect me a lot. But of late, we sort of have our own lives, and we don't really. It's not really such a big issue anymore. My choice of education, I did a degree in building science. It's a sort of commercial engineering degree. I did that at the University of the Witwatersrand in Johannesburg, and then I went into construction management on site, and I spent a number of years on site sort of doing my practical, as it were, and then I've since moved into the project management side of things, and I now work for a property development company as the project manager.
I used to envy people when they said that they loved their job. I started off as a nursing sister. I really enjoyed being a nursing sister, but I just felt that it's hard to be a nursing sister in South Africa's nursing environment at the moment. So for me anyway, the kind of person I am and the personality I am. And I then went into the pharmaceutical business and then moved into research. And it's fantastic now because I absolutely love my job. It's great to be able to say that you love your job. It suits my personality in terms of research, being the pedantic person I am, and the job satisfaction is incredible. So what I do is I'm involved in research, mostly in HIV drug trials, where myself and my business partner coordinate drug trials in South Africa. And by doing this, offer people who wouldn't normally have opportunities to have access to antiretrovirals. By doing these clinical trials in South Africa, we offer them that opportunity.
The group that I'm with went through various mergers whilst I was there. We started off as Barclays National Industrial Bank. When Barclays disinvested from this country during the sanctions era, we became then First National Bank, and the division that I was with was absorbed into First National Bank, and then we were taken over by Westbank, which is the company that I'm now with. My portfolio is directly the public relations for the company, I'm involved in placing of advertising in the right media. I helped with the development of the television advertising campaign for the company. And also I'm very involved in the corporate social investment for the company, actually trying to make people in the country's lives better in some small way. That essentially is my portfolio. And then on the other side, I do the event management. I'm very involved in formulating and creating creative concepts for various functions, and in the actual making it happen at the end of the day.
Up to now, or up to a short while ago, I used to do a lot of carpentry work. I got my workshop at home and did a lot of carpentry. But now that my eye is going, the big machinery, I then touch in case something goes wrong, because so that has basically come to an end. So now it's reading. And by reading, I mean I'm now on tapes. Tapes for the blind. Although I'm not blind, but I'm print blind. So they've allowed me to join their libraries. So at least I can keep up with reading as such.
We're quite fortunate, certainly in this country anyway, where we have a domestic servant who looks after Sarah during the day and everything, and she does most of the cleaning and the vacuuming and the washing and all that sort of thing. I help out quite a lot with Sarah. It's my sort of routine in the evening to give her bath and generally to play with her for a few hours to give Lisa a bit of a break, and then I usually put her to bed as well. But I don't cook. Can't cook. That's one thing.
When I work with other colleagues of mine from around the world and I tell them about where we live, about Cape Town, about Table Mountain, they actually think I'm joking. And I have to show them pictures to actually show that, in fact, what I'm telling them is true, that we do really live in a beautiful part of the world. Space is very important to me, and I think that in all my travels I've found that people live on top of each other. They live in very small environments. So I don't know if I would be comfortable living like that, knowing what I know about South Africa. But on a different side, they've got more opportunities sometimes because they're not so far away. In terms of their job and promotions and that kind of thing. They can literally travel between two countries in a day, whereas we can't. So it does make us a little bit isolated.
I'll tell you what has meant tremendous amount to me is living in a country where I had friends of all colours, denominations, but you never felt at ease having them in your own home, because we had neighbours who could be very unkind. And now it gives me such pleasure to be able to sit and watch a television program. We don't go to sports because it's difficult and it's also expensive. We watch a lot on TV, and to see everybody mixing together and getting on together, and when I was still working, nobody thought of your friend, whether he was black, white, green or anything, coming up and giving you a hug. It means a lot to me. And there are problems. There are problems in any country. But if people can follow the example of Mr. Mandela, who was our ex-president, who in this country we call, with a lot of love, Madiba. If people can take his example, I reckon that we're going to be a wonderful, wonderful country. And I mean it, I really do. He is a man, I think, they say he's the man of the century, but I think he's a man of all time.
Well, I'm fortunate that I work for a company that is very, very positive and pro-South Africa. We actually practice it, we talk it, we live it. Very, very proudly South African people. I am very optimistic about the future of this country. I really am. I think there's a lot of things we're back. I think we're a country that's a work in progress. We really are. We've got a very good grounding. I think the way that our government and our country is evolving is going to be more beneficial for us rather than having other countries from outside dictate the way they foresee things going. There's certain things I'm concerned about. I think the education system in this country has got to evolve to a greater extent.
I've had no problems with the country. I've had no problem with the people. Well, the people aren't as a whole. There's an element in every colour, race, that is difficult to get on with. They're a breed of their own. But generally, with the average person, no matter what colour, no matter what language, we've always got on very well with them. But as I say, there's always the difficult group in each area that's difficult. So no, as I say, no problem. I see a great future for the country, hopefully. There are some very good people running it, but there are also some bad apples in the mix.
But I think the basic problem that we have in this country, and that everybody uses it as an excuse, is we have a historical debt, if you want to call it that. We have a disadvantage in that we're coming from a pretty poor history in terms of racial discrimination and everything like that. So people didn't get the advantages that we had. Certainly being white in this country had its advantages before, and I'm probably very lucky to have been born white. I think that probably the biggest problem we have in this country is poverty. I think that most of our problems stem from poverty. And if we could just eradicate that, I think that this would be an awesome place.
Joan og Kees kunne på grund af helbredet ikke magte landejendommen i Johannesborg. Så nu er de flyttet til en pensionistbebyggelse lige uden for Cape Town. Her er alle tænkelige faciliteter, lige fra restaurant, frisør og læge.
The sauce is making the flames burn too much here.
Familien Kemp er en familie, der ser meget til hinanden, og i Sydafrika er det grillen, der er tændt, når det trækker op til spisning.
This man comes from Oatswood, and they take their drying very seriously.
You know where they grow the ostriches? You know ostriches? The area we live is where they farm them.
Hold that. Push, push, push! Push, push, push! Push, push, push! Oh, come on, come on, push, push, push! Oh, come on, come on, push, push, push! Oh, come on, come on, push, push, push! Step! Fana! Bina! Skid! 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 Skid!